Welcome to E3 2016 coverage on a 90s Kid, Canadian Matt, American Matt.
Hello.
We're talking about Bethesda's conference, a lot more fun than EA's right off the bat. Even the understated waiting for screen with the cool Bethesda trivia, because Bethesda is a company that's been around a long time.
Yeah.
They even made Wayne Gretzky's hockey. I remember they put in a little joke about that. So, then it started off, they had sort of a different format. Two hosts. A guy came in with a real bad joke and then looked off camera very awkwardly, seeing how the joke should land while the co-host sort of laughed. He did a nice silent laugh. So I'm like, oh, great. We've got two cringes in the first 3 seconds.
Talking about the guy and the lady?
No, this was the two guys doing a different, it was like kind of Bethesda's first section. The BE3 guys before the main one started. Then they did a bit of a fan tribute. That was pretty nice. And that's the kind of stuff I wanted to see. Like, as gamers who are watching a show on the internet, we watch YouTube stuff all the time, right? In this short kind of format, video on demand. So they were showing a lot of cool and not so cool fan tribute videos and just like putting the spotlight on these people that make these projects, like fanfic Skyrim parody films that must take a long time and make zero money. So really cool to see that. Right, then we had the guy and the lady, Morgan Webb. I thought she was pretty good. And then Adam Sessler reading
I love those guys.
Reading a teleprompter. He was just like narrowing in on that right in the beginning. They were like fine enough in terms of chemistry for me. I felt like it was too much of them. Yeah,
well, they've been hosting video game stuff together for a long time.
Yeah,
that's. Do you guys have like Tech TV and ZD TV and G4 and all that in Canada?
We don't even have TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be coming soon. It's really great. But
cool.
I've been watching Adam Sessler especially. I mean, he is super awkward and really quirky and sometimes
so that's
annoying.
his style.
Yeah, and he honestly, it was hilarious when you said he was kind of zeroing in on the prompter because like he has that kind of squinty. He does that look all the time.
Yeah.
But I've been watching them since I was a kid. I mean, before G4 TV was a thing, and now I don't even know what it's called. It's something else, but it was Tech TV, and it was like real nerdy. And then before that, it was like ZD TV, where it was like troubleshooting Windows 98, and people would like call in, and it was just real hardcore nerdy stuff. And they had a video game show that Adam Sessler was a part of, and he had a great co-host. And then after she left, it was Morgan Webb that joined him after that. So they've been hosting and doing video game stuff and E3 coverage for years and years and years, and they've kind of gone their separate ways, and they've just very recently gotten back together for a few projects. So that was really nostalgic for me to see them back together, and I had a lot of fun watching them. There were definitely some cringeworthy moments, but it was a lot of fun watching them host the pre-show.
Yeah, I had no nostalgic tie-in, and I skipped past everything, almost everything they were saying, and just got to the videos, and it was kind of like reading an old gaming magazine where it's just like ad, and then a review of Twisted Metal.
Right.
So we saw Dishonored 2. A lot of people are saying, oh, it looks like BioShock. Actually, they said that about some other games later on. I think that's great. It kind of looks like BioShock and Deus Ex with time control, moody, stylized, beautiful. I like that the characters had unrealistic proportions. I thought that was pretty interesting in a way where it kind of, like at least the old man character that she was first talking to, I thought looked a little bit cartoony. In his
almost
way.
Fable-esque. They almost have those kind of bloated shoulders and noses and hands and feet.
Yeah, very, very. And which is funny, like if you've ever seen, they did this cool thing with Firewatch where they brought the camera out because it's a first-person game where all you see is hands, and they showed you this is what the character actually looked like, and it was just like the hands were gigantic, like this, basically, to make it look normal when you're looking through first person. That game looks great. I haven't played the first Dishonored, but the more I see about Dishonored 2, the more I want to jump back into Dishonored. I know they have sort of like a definitive edition with all the DLC, but I think it's only on PS3 right now, which is a little...
I think it's on PS4 as well.
Oh, right, okay.
I think that came out on Xbox One and PS4. And it's worth pointing out, and it's interesting that you pointed out the character models, and they're almost kind of comic booky, cartoony style, because they mentioned that they built this new engine, the Void engine, from the ground up they mentioned that they wanted to make the game look almost like a painting in motion, and that a lot of the way, even the lighting techniques and stuff like that and effects that they added in, they just really wanted to enforce that theme, that aesthetic, that vibe. So I think, from that engine built from the ground up to the way the characters are modeled, they were going for that look and feel, and I thought it was really beautiful, and I think they're pulling it off wonderfully. The environments look really great too.
Yeah, it seems to be the first Dishonored was a game that got a lot of critical attention as well, and people always speak very highly of it. But I think this will be a nice coming out party for the series. It's got a lot of momentum right now, and it looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun and a lot to play with. Then they went to a really cool DOS intro right before Quake happened, navigating a DOS directory. I thought that was pretty cool. They should have had the crowd mic'd. I bet they would have went crazy for that, or maybe the crowds are
Dude, I was going crazy. That's something, ever since I started playing Doom and I got my hands on Doom, especially going into the multiplayer, I kept everything that I wanted out of the Doom multiplayer, everything that I was left wanting. I was really just looking for Quake. I was like, man, id Software is making this. It needs more Quake. It needs to be more vertical. I want to be zipping around in the air and shooting rockets everywhere and getting sniped. And there's a little bit of that in Doom multiplayer right now. They're going to be tweaking that and updating that accordingly because they apparently have been hearing fans and that we're not super satisfied with the Doom multiplayer. But really what we've been craving is a new Quake. And that was one of the games where everybody was like, don't hold your breath. We all want a new Quake. Bethesda knows that. Don't expect to see that at E3. So the fact that the very first thing we saw was that DOS screen, seeing those line commands zipping from left to right. And all of a sudden I saw Quake and I thought, oh shit, they're doing it. And then it opened up into that trailer. No gameplay, obviously, but we know it's coming. And the trailer looked super gritty, looked every bit as hardcore and heavy metal as the new Doom. So that was very reassuring to me. I think they know what to do. They know what went really well with Doom. And I think they have all the tools that they need to recreate that old school arena shooter for the next generation. And they're going to do it, and it's going to be awesome. They said that they're designing it to be the most competitive and like esports friendly arena shooter out there. So they're going balls to the wall, and I think it's going to turn out really, really well.
Yeah, he even mentioned how it was going to have an unlocked frame rate and be at 120 hertz.
Yeah.
And it seemed like 10% of the crowd understood that and went crazy for it, and the rest were like, what's that?
Cool.
Yeah. Then they talked about a free-to-play card game. Okay. That looked all right.
Oh, you talking about Elder Scrolls Legends?
Yeah. It seems like everything's going to be getting a card game pretty soon.
Yeah, that's true.
So you and me should put one out. More Fallout stuff. If you were into Fallout, you should be pretty happy with that. Watching the gameplay of it in those trailers, I think it's like a game that brings up a lot of the feels. And I had such a good time with Fallout 3 and a bit of New Vegas. And just Fallout 4 didn't grab you or I. But every time I watch it, I think, I wonder why not. But if you were into this, I mean, they are supporting the hell out of this game. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they should. It's their flagship. So good stuff if you are a Fallout 4 fan. Speaking of nostalgia and the feels, a Skyrim remaster coming out.
Yeah.
They showed an interesting video where they had 360 to Xbox One and PS3 to PS4. So I await the side-by-side comparison shots of those to see which one really looks better. And they're going to have mods. Because Bethesda thought, you know what, our games on consoles aren't quite broken enough. How can we mess that up a little bit more?
Right.
But that'd be pretty interesting. I mean, for someone who'd never had a PC before, had mods, like, welcome to a whole other world of how you can create an entirely different way to play. So I hadn't been through Skyrim, so I will definitely take a drive through that game if it comes out for the right price.
And the mods are going to be, mods are really what made that game come alive on PC. It's almost not worth playing that game on any other platform. It's just, you play on PC because the modding community and the sheer quantity of just incredible and totally crazy mods is staggering. There's so many different ways to play, and we're not going to get all of that on consoles. They're going to be kind of handpicked. But I think they're going to try to bring the best of the best in a lot of them. So it's a huge game already. And I didn't play through it like I played through Oblivion and Morrowind. I probably spent, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 hours in Skyrim, and didn't get too into the mod scene. But I know it's a great game, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the side-by-side comparisons. I told you in an earlier episode, I thought it was maybe too soon. I didn't think that a remaster of that game made a whole lot of sense. I would have rather them taken more time to recreate Morrowind or Oblivion. I think the fans would have enjoyed that more as well, but it looks really good. It'll be something worth checking out, and I don't remember if they announced a price. But it is, let's see, they said October 28th, so not very far away at all.
It was probably a lot easier for them to remaster Skyrim because it was so much recently, and it was probably made at a time when they had these ultra the higher res graphics already there, and then they just turn them down for the consoles, and then so they can just sort of unlock those and have them. But it looks like they put some work into it. I mean, to go back and redo Morrowind would probably be pretty tough, although I would have much rather wanted to see it. I think with Morrowind was a hit. Oblivion started getting everybody else into it, and by the time Skyrim came around, I think everybody was really ready for it. I mean, that seemed to have the most mainstream appeal, so I can see why they want to bring that one back. But if this one does really well, I'm really hoping that they'll go back and eventually get to Morrowind.
Yep.
Prey.
Yeah.
I didn't play the first Prey, but this looks fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful game.
Trailer was awesome. One of the best trailers I've seen so far at E3.
Oh yeah, in terms of watching the trailer, I thought, right, that's why E3 is really fun, because we're seeing the most cutting edge trailers possible. I mean, it looked gorgeous, and then the repetition of each day with his eye getting a little bit redder, and then talking to your own character at the end of it, the horror aspects of it, the distortion, very, very mysterious game, and very, very interesting. I'll definitely want to be playing that one. That looks pretty good. They kept talking about Doom. They talked about Doom after that again. And they mentioned how many awards it got. And it sounds like they're very surprised that it did well. Like they thought it was just going to be a little tiny passion project. But they're doing some free updates to the snap maps. And then they're going to have some premium content as well. So Bethesda treats their IPs pretty well. They're doing really well. And then the demo coming out, I've downloaded that, so I'll take a run through the level. That's available for PS4, Xbox One, I think, and PC as well. If anybody wants to play the first level. He made a reference to shareware, which I also appreciated. Then they talked about Elder Scrolls Online. This is something I've never bothered to go towards. I've always thought... I
tried it.
Yeah, what did you think?
It was... the only reason I tried it is because they had a contest where if you made your account during this certain time frame and played the game, you were eligible to win $1 million.
Might as well. I'll play anything.
Yeah, I didn't win, and I didn't see them announce a winner, but it was really interesting. It didn't feel like a typical MMO. It felt like an online and hyper-connected Elder Scrolls game. So I think if you're into that and you have the time to dedicate to a game like that, it's probably really cool. And they mentioned at least 5 or 6 times that it was named the best MMO of 2015.
Wow.
I can't remember how many more big MMOs were released in 2015, so I don't know how honorable of an accolade that is for them. But people do really enjoy the game. They have, I think they said like over 7 million people are playing. It's coming out in Japan really soon, and the Dark Brotherhood DLC looks pretty sweet. The trailer was very stabby. There's a lot of stabbing and blood, very dark.
Yeah, well, that's what sells now, I guess. That's what they think sells. Even though I've never checked it out, I was watching it and thinking, I like Elder Scrolls games. How fun would it be to just hang out with your friends and just go through a bunch of Elder Scrolls quests?
Yeah.
It looks pretty interesting. Then they came out with something that surprised me, Bethesda VR.
Yeah, that was probably, apart from some of the huge game things, actually, I think that was probably the biggest announcement for them, because they said they've been working on it for a while, and they also said that they want to be a leader in this market, that they're going to keep going. I mean, to say that you want to be a leader in this market that is getting so much buzz right now, they must have some stuff coming down the pipeline, and they obviously do, because some of it was playable.
Yeah, Fallout 4, they said, is going to be in 2017, and then they'll be moving on from there. So Fallout getting even more support later on down the line. We saw some more Dishonored after that. More of the BioShock feel is what I wrote down. Dishonored looks so good that I just skipped through a lot of that stuff. I watch trailers for games I want to know more about, and once I've realized, like, yeah, I'm gonna play that looks good, unless the reviews are awful, I don't watch anything else out of that. It just seemed like they're showing too much. I mean, even some of the gameplay and things you don't think are like a narrative spoiler in terms of, say, a movie or TV, can still be a spoiler in a game. Just introducing a new mechanic could be something that is a spoiler. So I didn't watch any of that. Well, that did it for the Bethesda conference. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about all of the other conferences in E3, including Microsoft, of course.